Hello, fellow gardeners. Welcome to a transformative approach to one of nature's most precious gifts, rainwater. If you've been collecting rainwater for your garden, you're already on the right path. But today, we're taking that practice several steps further by unlocking a hidden dimension of gardening potential that most growers never discover. We're talking about turning ordinary collected rainwater into a living, microbial-rich elixir that will fundamentally change how your plants grow and how your soil performs. Let's explore together. When most gardeners think about rainwater collection, they're focused on a simple equation: capture water, store it, use it to hydrate plants. It's a sound approach, especially when you consider that rainwater lacks the chlorine and other chemicals present in municipal tap water. Yet this perspective, while practical, misses something profound. Rainwater isn't just H2O, it's a blank canvas, a medium that's practically begging to be enriched. The typical rainwater harvesting system sits idle in a barrel or tank, perhaps growing algae or accumulating sediment. We're missing an enormous opportunity here. While we're storing that water, we could be transforming it into something far more powerful. The common mistakes that gardeners make revolve around passivity. They collect the water but don't actively work with it. They treat it as inert, when in reality, water is an excellent vehicle for delivering life itself to the soil. Think about what happens naturally in the forest. Rain falls through decomposing leaves and rich organic matter, picking up microbial communities and organic compounds along the way. When that water reaches the soil, it carries an entire ecosystem of beneficial organisms. What we're proposing is a deliberate recreation of this natural process, a method that brings living water into your garden by design rather than chance. This shift from passive collection to active inoculation is where the real magic happens. Before we talk about implementation, we need to understand why we're doing this. The soil beneath our gardens isn't just dirt, it's one of the most complex ecosystems on Earth. A single handful of healthy soil contains more microorganisms than there are people on the planet. These microscopic workers are the unsung heroes of garden fertility. They break down organic matter, cycle nutrients, protect plants from disease, and build soil structure. Without them, your garden would be a barren wasteland regardless of how much fertilizer you applied. When we talk about beneficial bacteria specifically, we're discussing organisms like rhizobacteria, bacteria that colonize plant roots and form a mutually beneficial relationship. These microbes don't just passively exist in soil, they actively promote plant growth through multiple mechanisms. Some produce phytohormones like auxins and gibberellins, which stimulate root development and encourage plants to allocate more resources to growth. Others specialize in making nutrients available. They break down complex minerals and organic compounds into forms that plant roots can actually absorb and utilize. The science here is compelling. Studies have shown that plants inoculated with specific bacterial strains show dramatically improved nutrient uptake, enhanced immunity to pathogens, and greater resilience to environmental stressors like drought or temperature extremes. This isn't vague garden folklore. It's documented, measurable biology. By actively inoculating your rainwater with these beneficial microbial cultures, you're essentially delivering concentrated doses of soil health directly to your plants. You're not waiting for beneficial microbes to establish themselves naturally. You're intentionally introducing a thriving community that goes to work immediately. Now, let's talk about creating this system. The beauty of microbe-charged water is that you don't need expensive equipment or complicated chemistry. Your rainwater collection tank can serve as what we'll call a bioreactor, a living system where beneficial microbes establish themselves and proliferate. You have two primary options for sourcing your beneficial bacterial cultures. The first is commercial inoculants like EM1, also known as effective microorganisms, which are available as liquid concentrates containing dormant bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. These products have the advantage of consistency and documented results. When you purchase EM1, you're getting a proven blend of beneficial microorganisms that has been refined over decades. To use it, you'll dilute the concentrate in chlorine-free water, and this is important, so let it sit for 24 hours to allow any chlorine to evaporate, following the product instructions, typically around 10 milliliters per liter. Then add a small amount of molasses or brown sugar to feed the microbes and activate them. Let this mixture sit in a warm, dark place for an hour or two before applying it to your garden. The second option is brewing your own compost tea, which is perhaps the most economical and rewarding approach. This method leverages organic matter you likely have on hand: vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, aged compost, even crushed eggshells. Add roughly 1 part compost to 10 parts water in a jar, seal it, then shake vigorously every day for a week. You're aerating the mixture and allowing microbes to multiply. After a week, filter out the solids, and dilute the liquid again at a 1:10 ratio with clean water before applying. This homemade approach is remarkably effective because you're extracting an entire microbial community, along with dissolved organic compounds and nutrients that have leached from the compost. Once you've chosen your method, the application process is straightforward. Use it as a soil drench, soaking the area around your plant's root zones, or as a foliar spray in early morning or late afternoon when leaf stomata are most receptive. Either way, you're introducing beneficial microbes directly where they'll have maximum impact. Here's where the theory meets reality. When you begin watering with microbe-charged water, changes emerge relatively quickly. Within weeks, observant gardeners notice tangible differences compared to plants watered with regular water. The plants receiving microbial inoculants develop visibly stronger root systems. If you pull one up, carefully of course, you'll notice roots are thicker, more abundant, and more vigorous than their counterparts. Above ground, foliage becomes noticeably lusher. Leaves display richer color, increased size, and improved texture. Flowering plants produce more abundant blooms, and fruiting plants yield significantly higher harvests. These aren't subtle changes. Gardeners who've implemented microbe-charged water systems in their own plots report that the difference between treated and untreated plants becomes almost impossible to ignore. It's not unusual to see 30 to 50% increases in productivity, depending on your starting soil conditions and the specific microbial cultures you use. The plants seem to thrive with a vitality that conventional watering simply doesn't produce. What's happening beneath the surface is equally impressive. The beneficial microbes are transforming your soil ecosystem. They're creating aggregates that improve soil structure, allowing better water infiltration and root penetration. They're enhancing nutrient cycling, making existing soil nutrients available to plants more efficiently. Over time, your soil begins to function like a living system rather than an inert growing medium. The long-term trajectory of a garden that receives regular microbe-charged water applications is genuinely different from one that doesn't. Year after year, soil structure improves. Water retention increases naturally without adding amendments. Disease pressure decreases as the microbial community suppresses pathogens. You'll notice fewer pest problems because plants are stronger and more resilient, and beneficial soil organisms help control harmful populations. This approach fundamentally redefines what fertility means. Rather than depending on external chemical inputs, you're building a self-sustaining ecosystem. Your soil becomes hyper-fertile not because you've added synthetic nutrients, but because you've created conditions where natural nutrient cycling operates at peak efficiency. Plants become resistant to the stresses that typically plague gardens: drought, temperature fluctuations, disease susceptibility. Integrating microbe-charged water into your regular routine doesn't require extra work. If you're already collecting rainwater and applying it to your garden, simply add one of these inoculation methods to your process. Once or twice a month is sufficient to maintain and expand your beneficial microbial communities. The investment in time and materials is minimal compared to the returns you'll see in plant performance and long-term soil health. The real power of this approach lies in its sustainability. You're not chasing productivity through ever-increasing inputs. Instead, you're establishing a foundation of biological health that naturally supports thriving plants. Your garden becomes more resilient, more productive, and more beautiful, all while requiring fewer external interventions. Thank you for exploring this game-changing technique with us. If you found this guide valuable, please subscribe to the Humus Heritage channel for more deep dives into soil science, sustainable gardening, and practical methods for creating truly thriving gardens. Share this with fellow gardeners in your community. There are so many people still relying on conventional approaches who would benefit tremendously from understanding the power of microbial inoculation. Together, we're building healthier gardens and healthier soils for generations to come.